Okay, so number 33 and 2.1 is this thing about taxes. Okay? And it is actually important that you guys know how taxes work, because lots of people have no idea how taxes work. Like, I kid you not, people don't actually know, and so they say stupid shit. The stupid statement that most commonly occurs is, I don't want to make any more money because I will get bumped into the next tax bracket, and then all of my gains will be lost. Right? That would be a really dumb system.
Agreed.
Right? No one would actually want to live in that system. And so that's not the system we have.
Right.
But people think it is because they know there are tax brackets, but they have no idea how in the hell they work. So this is the way tax brackets work. What? For real, the problems about tax brackets.
Alright, well, I was just wondering if you're talking about like short capital gains versus... Like,
No, I'm not talking about types of taxable income. I'm talking about tax brackets.
Okay,
So if you have a uniform income type.
okay.
So, and that is a little bit complicated, but whatever. So this thing says New York State income tax is based on taxable income. Right? So here's a person, right? And here is the stack of money they make in a year.
A lot of money.
Right? Some of that money is taxable and some is not.
Okay.
There's kind of a complicated way of figuring this out. But let's just, for the sake of picture, go with some chunk of that money is taxable. Cool?
That's a large
It is a large chunk of your income usually that's taxable.
Dang.
Okay. So in 2013, for a single person with a taxable income between 77,150 up to 205,850. The tax owed was 4650.63 plus 6.65% of income over 77,150. This is a tax bracket. So this person is sitting in the tax bracket between 77,150 and 205, right?
Yeah.
And this is the amount of tax you pay before you get into that tax bracket. So if you made exactly 77,150, this would be your tax. And the way you get that number is there are a whole bunch of tax brackets. Like, there's something approximating, there's a first, like, poverty line, right? And below the poverty line, the tax rate's like nothing, essentially. Right? It's not actually nothing, but it's pretty close. Then between the poverty line and, let me just first, like, sake of illustration, say the poverty line's 20,000. Right? Then between, say, 20 and 40, there's some kind of low tax rate. Like 5%. And then maybe between 40 and this 77 number, there's some kind of higher tax rate. Like, I don't know, 8%. What's the idea with this?
A bit more.
Like, why do we do this?
So, I don't know, just let me think.
So what's going on here is your first 20K doesn't get any taxes on it. And then the next 20K gets taxed at 5%. And then everything above that up to 77 gets taxed at 8%.
The more money you make, the more taxes you feel, the more percentage.
Yeah, kind of the more like the higher you are in the tax bracket structure, right, the more you pay.
Yeah, yeah.
Because there's some like baseline amount of money you have to spend to live, right?
Uh-huh.
And things after that are kind of a bonus, right? You guys kind of see that?
Yeah.
That's the idea here. Like that's why this tax bracket structure exists in the way it does.
Mm-hmm.
And what we have here is this 4650 is kind of the total of this stuff. And it's probably not exactly
I
this,
see.
because I just made these numbers up, right?
Right.
That's cool with us?
Yeah.
Okay, so then the question is, can I compute the tax owed by a lawyer whose taxable income is $88,000?
Yeah.
How would I do that?
Well,
So I want like tax on 88,000.
And when you say of income over 77,150, does that mean you take your final amount, subtract from 77,150 to figure out the difference, or are you
Dividing.
or do you take the total amount? Like you take $88,000 and do 6.65% of that.
Okay, that's what people think you do.
Okay.
That's not what you
But
do.
you do the difference between the
Yeah,
two.
you do the amount of tax that falls into that bracket.
That makes sense.
You guys see that?
Yeah.
So this person is paying 4650.63, and the reason they're paying that number is that they made more than $77,000.
Right.
Like that's the total tax in all the brackets below 77,000.
Yeah.
And they also end up paying,
6.65%
Of 88.
so 6.65% is 6.65 divided by 100
$10,850.
times the 10,000 whatever they made.
$850. Okay.
You guys with me on that?
Mm-hmm.
So going from the, actually let's do that. How much does it cost to go from 77,150 to 77,151?
So 6.65% of $1 would be 6 cents and
7 cents.
7 cents, right?
You guys see
seven-
that?
So 7 cents.
So it doesn't, like, even though you're in the next tax bracket, right? It's not all your money that gets taxed at the higher rate. It's just the amount that actually falls into that bracket.
That makes so much sense.
You guys cool with that? All right, so part B. I'm supposed to consider a lawyer whose taxable income is 80% of her total income X, where X is between 1,000 and 150,000. Write a formula for T of X, the taxable income. Okay, this goes to the composite function idea that I was trying to talk about, or that I'm going to talk about today anyway. So let's do that. Oops, shit, I needed that. Remember how that thing worked? I needed it. Okay, so here's the idea. You are starting here at an amount X. What did it say the amount X was?
Well, between 100.
It says it's between 100 and 150,000,
Yeah.
right? And what else? It's the it's her total income, right?
Oh, right.
So I have this thing that I erased, right?
Yeah.
Which tells me how to calculate her taxes from
Taxable
her taxable income.
income.
And all I have is her total, right?
Right.
So what's the first thing I need to do to figure out her taxes?
Figure out her taxable income.
Yeah, I have to figure out her taxable income, right?
And it's using this bracket that we have?
No.
Okay.
And the reason I can't use that bracket thing, right?
Because
The
of
reason I
range.
can't use the formula they gave me about 4650 plus 6.5%
Mhm.
is that I don't know what her taxable income is yet. That's a thing that turns taxable income into tax dollars that you need to pay,
Right.
right? So I need to do something first to get there.
Right.
So this first thing is going to be calculate taxable income. Right? This is a total income here. You guys with me on that? So What does it say in the problem that gets you to taxable income? Yeah, it says her taxable income is 80% of her regular income.
Okay.
Right? So I go from regular income X to what's the taxable income that's associated? 0.8x. You guys see that?
Yeah.
So this is the taxable income. And why did I go to taxable income?
So you can figure out, so you can plug it into the equation that we built beforehand, which turns taxable income into dollar amount of taxes owed.
Perfect. You guys see that? So I want to take this thing and put it into the calculate taxes function. Right? Okay, so when I do that, I'm going to need some space. How do I calculate the taxes?
Okay.
First off, how do I even know she's in the right tax bracket? Where did that tax bracket work?
80%. Well, 80% of 100,000 is 80,000.
Okay, so
Which is
she's
just-
definitely above the bottom of the tax
Right,
bracket.
and-
Is she also below the top?
Yeah. Because
Why?
You're just gonna.
Yes.
Yes.
Because 150,000 was less than the top of the bracket even before we turned it into taxable income.
Right. What are you eating?
A pouch of tuna fish that's leaking all over my hand.
Oh, I didn't know if it was honey or.
Okay. Honey? I'm not a bird. All right, so to calculate the taxes on an amount that's in the right tax bracket, which I think I'm set on, what do I do?
Well, you add that first amount. I can't remember what it was.
Okay, I need to add the first amount right from below that
Yeah.
column. So that's that
4650.63.
4650 plus, or 4650.63, right?
Mhm.
And then I need to add to that 6.65 over 100.
Of like 0.8x minus 77.150.
Okay, see that?
Comma 150.
You need to take the taxable income, 0.8x, right? And subtract off,
The bottom, yeah.
the bottom of the bracket. 77,150
Mhm.
point whatever. You guys see that?
Yeah.
So this is a two-step function, right?
Mhm.
Is all with that?
Mhm.
This is called function composition,
Makes sense.
right? When you do one function and then do another one to the result.
Doesn't function.
You guys call that?
Yeah.
So there's a little weirdness here, right? In that which thing's the domain and which thing's the range?
Oh well.
The domain is total income?
It depends on which function you're talking about. It was a trick question.
Oh.
You guys see that? Because there's three functions on the board right now. There's the one function that takes total income and turns it into taxable income.
Uh-huh.
There's another function that takes taxable income and turns it into tax dollars,
Yeah.
right? And then there's yet a third function, which is the composite, which takes total income and turns it into tax dollars. You guys see that?
Yeah.
So this whole thing that I've got the formula written down for, this like big long formula, that's the function that takes total income and turns it into tax dollars.
Okay.
You guys see that? So on that function, the domain is total incomes between whatever and whatever.
Yeah.
And the output is some amount of dollars that you owe the government. Cool?
So would the domain of that function, like would the maximum be like when 205, 850 is 80% of what number? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and that's assuming that this taxable income function is 80% of
Yes.
total income. That's assuming that holds, which
Right.
is an assumption that we're making.
Okay.
All right, and then, write a formula for the amount. Oh, whoops. I did part C instead of part B because I misread it.
Oh.
Part B was just write a formula for the taxable income.
Okay.
That was this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Part C is that,
Yeah.
right? The composite function. And then part D is use L of X to evaluate this tax owed for X is 111,000. I trust you guys can plug 111,000 into that.
Yeah.
See, I like that formula a lot better. In the back of the book, they give you some weird nonsense.
Oh yeah, they probably
receipt.
multiply this crap out,
Distribute the
right? Because you can distribute this number in, and then there's some X's and a number, so you can combine like terms.
Are we plugging in 111,000 into the for the X?
Yes. Yeah, for part D, you want to plug 111,000 in for her total income. So that goes in as an X. Cool? Questions, Dale? And yeah, I would advise against simplifying wherever possible. Evaluating this function, by the way, is a great use of a computer or a calculator.
Yeah.
Cool? Questions on any of this? You guys understand tax brackets just a tiny bit better?
Yeah, discovered over the weekend that California has a space tax.
California has a space tax.
Space tax, up to 62 miles up in the air, it taxes everybody.
Really? That's cool. How did you find that out?
I found it in an article I was reading.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? So every time you
Uh,
lift up and, since Vandenberg sends anything into space, it gets taxed up to 62 miles, which is just inner orbit or outer orbit, I'm not sure which, but.
Cool.
Wow.
I know what's still California's.
Welcome to California.
I mean, you project out, right?
We own this atmosphere up to 62 miles.
Yeah, we own
62 miles
so
is really far.
the better question. So if you have a little piece of ground like this, right?
Uh-huh.
That's a piece of ground on the surface of a globe.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So do you go,
So it funnels out.
what does straight up mean?
Right. Precisely, because if it was going actually vertical, if it was perpendicular to the core, then it would funnel out like that as you got larger.
You're right. Yeah, it's a lot easier if the Earth's flat. You don't have to think about that.
The Earth is flat.
The interesting thing is, right, if here's the Earth's core, like the very center.
Uh-huh.
So you have this line, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
See how that kind of gets wider, right?
Yeah. So.
But, that is what straight up means.
Yeah.
You guys see that? That's not different than your usual concept of up.
Yeah.
That is exactly what up means. Which is one of the things that I think the flat earthers often have a little twisted around in their head. They don't really seem to understand that up just means away from the middle of the earth.
Yeah.
You guys see that? There's this, one of the really common flat earther things is this really stupid, like, okay, if you're flying a plane, right?
I was told this.
And you're going, like, from north to south, right? So you're going to go from the North Pole to the South Pole.
Yeah.
You're flying a plane. Obviously, you would have to keep adjusting the controls down,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Except that's idiotic, because that's flat, right? With respect to the gravitational field, that's what flat means.
You always have to keep going down.
Did you see that?
That's so funny.
Okay, never mind. I should